Well, welcome to Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross, where we are your resource for education, connection, collaboration to support you on your wellness journey. And I would like to start by thanking our sponsors, Jean Kuhn and White Sands Premier Travel. These sponsored appearances is what makes Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross possible. So I have a question for you. Are you a woman in the second act of your life looking to reignite your passion and purpose? Well, then you are in the right place because my guest today is just the spark you need. In 2006, Jean took a bold leap and purchased not one, but two struggling franchises, turning them into a thriving cash generating powerhouse in under a year, all without a marketing budget or support. So please welcome Jean Kuhn.
Hi, Laura. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here with us. So tell me what inspired, that is a huge leap to do that. So what inspired you to take a leap into entrepreneurship, especially when you purchased a bankrupt franchise?
Well, we have in order to do that, I had to go way back to 1985, right? I became self-employed. I became self-employed on April 29th, 1985 at 8:52 p.m. And that's when that nurse put that very first baby in my arms. And I knew I was not going back to a job I hated. So that's where the whole entrepreneurial thing started. And I will say this, that my grandfather came here from Greece. He immigrated from Greece.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he did when he got here? He started a Greek restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Right? So he
Yeah.
started a Greek restaurant. So I think that is actually it's in my DNA, right? It's in my DNA to be an entrepreneur. My mom was an entrepreneur, and she never really had the success that she wanted, right? So when I became an entrepreneur, some almost 40 years ago now, I definitely did not want to end up like my mom, struggling all the time. And she would struggle to the point where she didn't know what to do because she wasn't making any money. So she would switch what she was doing. I've not really done that. I really have always been focused on business, and it's business that I focus on, not the actual thing that I'm doing. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
It
Right?
does. It does.
So whether I owned a chocolate store that was bought a chocolate store that was bankrupt, or I started a coaching practice, a business coaching practice, or I'm dealing with my clients with business strategy, it's all around business. So when I stay focused on business, it opens the possibilities up for everything entrepreneur wise. So that's the story.
Okay. I was going to say, yeah, and that makes sense because I know many of us have, I think we call it shiny object syndrome. You know, you start
Yeah,
chasing this one or that one and trying to make go, then this one doesn't work and you're constantly restarting.
exactly. Right. You're constantly, and that is almost the battle cry for small business owners, right? It's almost the battle cry. And it was my battle cry when I started 40 years ago. I was going to do anything and everything, and I found myself going down that path, and I'm like, "Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to follow those footsteps. So let me get really clear on finding the right business for myself and then start making money, and then I can expand myself."
So how did you do that? Because a lot of people struggle with that.
Well, number one, I'm really super driven. Number two, I am highly motivated. I'm highly self motivated. It's really hard for some people to stay motivated, but I don't know. I just feel like it's in my DNA, and this is what I'm supposed to do, and I'm living my best life doing it. So, but I did come up with, if you want to hear them, I came up
Oh,
with five
absolutely.
ways to how I turned around that bankrupt business. Because I think sometimes as an entrepreneur, when you're not making any money, it feels like you own a bankrupt business, right?
Yeah. Well, and you bought a bankrupt franchise, which I think to some people would be extremely scary to start off with because that's a huge undertaking.
Yeah, but I did it all wrong. I did it all wrong because when I bought that, I was buying it from another franchise owner, and he didn't tell the corporate that we were buying his business, right?
Oh,
Now,
wow.
when you buy a franchise, you have to be approved for a franchise. When you buy a franchise, you have to go to training with the franchise. When you buy a franchise, you have to be envelop their corporate, their corporate culture. And he just basically said, Gene, if you don't buy this store by this date, I'm shutting it down. You won't be able to buy it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to miss out on an opportunity. Right.
Right.
let's buy it. So we bought it, not the franchise, not knowing that we owned it. And we, until we could actually get approved by the franchise and then tell them that we had purchased the store and we were now the owners of it. So,
Wow.
yeah. So, yeah, I did it all wrong because had they caught us, right? And I didn't know any of this at the time because I'm not advocating doing things the wrong way. But had
Right.
they caught us, we could have lost all of our money and the franchise, right?
Right.
He knew he couldn't sell that store without franchise approval. I didn't know that. I thought I was just buying a business.
He was just wanting to get bailed out.
He wanted bailed out of that bankrupt business, and just, God's good, and things worked out the way they were supposed to work out, and everything turned out fine, except 2 weeks in, I found myself, I took out a loan on our home that we had just built. It was our dream home. We had just built it. I took out a loan on that store, on our home, to buy that first store. I had no money, no marketing money. I didn't take any extra money for marketing. Took just enough to close on the store, which means I had no money for fresh product. We had to take that out of our personal account. I had no social media. There was no social media in 2002. There was no lists in 2002. There was no email in 2002. And I literally started like a bootstrap that bankrupt business. 2 weeks in, I'm sobbing like a baby in the back room, sitting on an upside down milk crate, and really realizing I had made a really big financial mistake, thinking I had, right?
Right.
And I was going to lose our home. I was going to lose, my kids were never going to go to college. We would never be able to financially recover from this. And it was really just a big old fat pity party for myself, for a good 20, 30 minutes, to the point where I couldn't stop the snot running down my nose, right? My eyes are almost, I have hooded eyelids. My
Yeah.
eyes were almost swollen shut at that point. And nobody was walking in the store to even see that I was having a pity party, right? But was it was one of the worst memories of buying that store, is the fact that I lost confidence in myself for 20 minutes. And when you lose confidence in yourself, right, uh, you can let that tear you down, right?
Yeah. The, the
But
the amazing thing is that your pity party was only for 20 minutes. Many of us, it goes for a whole lot longer.
yeah, well, because I'm highly motivated, I
Hmm.
know how to remotivate myself and how to get myself back on track. But sometimes you just need that. You need like I think, you and I talked about, you need that crying to release all of that stuff, and then
Right.
you can get back to work, right?
Right.
So that's exactly what I did. But here's the real truth is I didn't want to let my husband down. He believes in me. He has always been my super fan. And when you've got somebody who believes in you and knows you will go to the ends of the earth to not lose, right? I
Oh,
would
that,
go to
that's
the
that's the most valuable to me. That is the most valuable thing right there.
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe it is too, because I see a lot of women who say things like, I have to ask my husband if I can do this. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is your business. Why is your husband even considered in this? Well, because, the money and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, as business owners, you have to invest in your business,
Mhm.
right? So I do hear that a lot, and it makes me very sad. I never asked my husband once for, if I could do anything. As a matter of fact, when I signed up with my first coach, it was like $20,000. Let's go back. That was 15 years ago,
Right.
10 years ago, 10 years ago. Go back to that. I didn't ask him. As a matter of fact, I waited the 3 full days after I signed the contract to even tell him, because I knew I needed this.
Hmm.
And without it, I knew I couldn't succeed. Do you know what I mean? And
Yes.
when you're at that point and you know that somebody else has the answer that you need, I was willing to do anything. And that was risk a look of disappointment, because we didn't have the money. We did
Right.
not have an extra $20,000 to, for me to sign up to work with a coach. I will say it turned out okay. I am still, this is 10 years later, and she's still my coach, right?
Hmm.
Because I make more money with her than I do
Right.
without her. So,
And
yeah,
we're
that
constantly learning. But you, before we go too far off, you had mentioned there were 5 things that helped you do that change that, because you did change that bankrupt franchise around. You had struggles, but you made it successful within 12 months.
I did that first one I made. Yeah, I turned it around within 12 months. I added 100,000 to the bottom line. And the 5 ways I did, I'd love to tell you about those because it makes me super, I get excited every time I think about it. And it was in 2002, 22
Well,
years
that's an
ago,
accomplishment.
right?
I'd be excited
Oh
too.
my gosh, I get so excited because I know these are no cost marketing strategies that everybody can use. So the first one, customer service, right? How can you say yes to your customers and stop saying no, or stop saying that's not our policy? I'm sorry, that's not our policy, right? That's BS, right? Stop saying no to your customers if you can at all accommodate them, accommodate them. And I think a lot of franchises say we can't do that. That's not our policy. Well, I had nobody at the corporate office was in Colorado. I was in Illinois. I had nobody who could tell me no, right? And I'm an independent thinker. I wasn't going to let them tell me no anyway. So when people would come in and ask for something, I had a guy come in one day and he's like, I need a gift that I can send to a big office. There's a lot of people there. And he's like, what do you suggest? And I gave him a couple ideas and he's like, I really wanted to send fudge. And I was like, what about a fudge mountain? What about a fudge mountain? I had never made a fudge mountain, right? I'm like, I'll just figure it out. I'll make it up. And the first few attempts looked like a big chocolate pile of dog do, right? Until I figured how to wait for the fudge to start setting up before I put it into a mountain. I drug lines down it so it looked like it was cascading down. I put some white chocolate on the top and let it drizzle down the mountain like snow. And I added a few little plastic um, Christmas trees on it, right? It looked like a mountain. It looked like
Nice.
a mountain. He was so thrilled with it, right? He came in and he'd ordered 5 of those every Christmas. Those things were like $60 a piece, right?
Yeah.
And it cost us next to nothing to make fudge. So that was a really good, I said yes, and I didn't know how to do it. And then
Right.
I started like, what could I create out of fudge, right? What can I create? So, yeah, don't say no if you don't have to. Say yes. We had a policy. I was the only one who could say no. Not one of my employees could say no to a customer. Right. So that was just one customer service. Just be kind to your people, right? Be kind to your customers that come in and love you, want to support you. The next one was strategic volunteering. And I coined that phrase with my friend Christy Ellis, who is a real estate agent out of Ahwatukee, Arizona. And she did it differently than I. Well, I'm going to tell you what she did because it's so sweet. So she would take her twin girls. She's a real estate agent,
Hmm.
and she would take her twin girls to the Humane Society every Saturday morning. And then she would post videos of her girls playing with the puppies and reading to the puppies. And listen, Laura, if you ever show me the picture of a puppy, you and I are best friends, whether you want to be or not, right? Because I am a huge dog lover, right? So I would watch those videos. I would wait for them to come out every Saturday morning. Well, she didn't have to mention her business. People knew who she was, but she was seen doing good. That's what strategic volunteering is. You're in the community being seen doing good. You don't have to promote your business like, hey, and I'm Christy Ellis and I'm here today, with my daughters and we're reading to puppies. I'm, from this agency or this real estate office. You don't have to do that. Just be seen doing good, because when they see you do good and then they hear later on that you're a real estate agent, or they see your picture on a billboard or something, they're going to connect the two, right?
Yeah.
So how I took that was as I joined the business association, right? And I did their summer art fair, and I had to go business to business selling Adirondack chairs and then asking them to hire an artist to paint them. And then they were going to donate them so we could auction them off for charity. We had the biggest auction, the most money earned that year, because when I went in and I asked for the sale, I
Hmm.
always took either chocolate covered strawberries or I took a caramel apple for the people for the owner that I was trying to sell,
Right.
because I
Nice.
wasn't used to selling, right? That was pre what I do
Oh,
now.
yeah, and people, yeah,
Right?
well, most
Yeah,
people still don't like it. It's like a dirty word, but yet it's something that has to be done.
exactly. And then, so that was number 2. So number 3 was sampling. Do you ever go to a chocolate store that didn't give you a sample?
Oh, no, yeah, they always do samples.
Yeah,
We even have Buc-ee's here now, which has fudge or jerky, and you can get samples of whatever one you want before you buy them.
all right, I'm not going to lie to you. That is on my bucket list to go to a Buc-ee's,
You can come on
right?
down.
Yeah. So, oh, you know, else I want to go? I want to go to Uranus,
That is here too.
Missouri.
Yeah. Oh, since we're talking about fudge, just one side note. Yes, that is a real place, Uranus, Missouri, and it has a fudge factory.
And what it also has is amazing marketing. Like there's fudge in Uranus,
Oh, yes.
right?
Yeah, you
I
ought to see the billboards. I'll take
That's
a
what I'm
picture
saying.
for you sometime.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, you were talking about sampling.
Sampling. So yeah, so we would sample obviously, and we would sample fudge because we had the biggest market on it. But some days I would cut up and caramel apples. We would sample caramel apples all the time. So what can you sample in your business? Right? Everybody has something they can sample in their business. It could be a piece of education. You could go do an educational talk for someone. Maybe you have a download or a book or something. You can sample the first chapter of your book. You can sample, the thing right now is to write a small book, right, about something in your business and then pass it out like an ebook or even a small book that you've written that you've had printed. I just had some books printed. I'm going to show you. I just had these books printed. It's a book that I had written, but I'm going to be giving them out at my conference. And they cost me $2.74 to have printed. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I charge $20 for it on Amazon, but it's crazy that I can print it for that. And then everybody's going to get a copy of that book. So you can give out that sampling. So how can you sample in your business? The way I sample now, I don't do chocolate anymore. I sold my stores off. Um, I don't do chocolate anymore. What I do is I go around and I speak, or I'll come and I'll do a podcast, or I'll do a TV show like this. And I'm sharing information for other small business owners out there who could really use some no cost, low cost marketing strategies so they can turn their businesses around fast as well.
Yeah, especially in today's world and today's times, because it's been getting increasingly tough for a lot of people.
Exactly. And here's the piece that's so sad. And it happens 100% of the time. In COVID, it was awful, right? The very first thing people do, and it's the worst thing you can do, I'm just going to say that. The very first thing people do when something gets tough is they stop marketing. Business owners have really got to grasp the piece is when things get tough, you double down on your marketing. You want to know why? Because every other mo out there is cutting back on theirs. And if you can double down on your marketing instead of cutting back, you will be the one who succeeds. And I learned that from Zig Ziglar. One day I was in a conference with him, and he said to the whole room, he said, we were in the middle of it was early 90s, and we were in the middle of a recession.
Hmm.
And he brought it up. He's like, I'm talking about the elephant in the room. He didn't say that, but that's what he was doing. And
Yeah.
he said, hey, listen, I don't participate in this recession. I'm not participating in the recession. And I was like, oh my God, I never knew you had an opportunity
You
to
didn't know that
not.
was an option.
I didn't know it was an option. And I decided at that particular moment, I was never going to participate in the recession again. And I never had. So for the last 30 years, I have not participated in a recession. So,
Nice.
and I'm going to encourage you don't participate in anymore either. Right.
Right.
So, and so many people talk about, costs are higher. That's why it's so important right now for you to start thinking about the me economy, your me economy, instead of the economy, right?
Right.
Stop thinking about the economy and start thinking about your own me economy, because that's where you will, this is your milk crate moment there, when you can really separate that out, that there is the economy and I can create a me economy. That is your milk crate moment, right? Because you're right there. It's like, I don't know what to do. I don't Do I stop my marketing? Do I cut back on everything else because prices are getting so high and groceries are high? No, I am doubling down so I can make more money, so I can still go on vacation on a luxury cruise, and I can still go and do something else, whatever I want to do with my business and invest. You've got to create your economy. So, and that's what business owners, it's so amazing that everybody has that opportunity to do that, right? And we don't think that we do. We don't see how we can. So that is really one of my missions, is to help women understand that they can, because only 12% of small business, small women, let me say that again. Only 12% of women owned businesses, all of them,
Mhm.
all of them ever hit six figures. Only
Wow.
12%.
Wow.
So when you're sitting around and you're like, well, I can see that, right? I'm maybe, maybe I'm at 50,000 or 60,000 and can't seem to get over that mark. Only 12% ever get there, right? Once you get there, things change, right?
Oh,
Things change,
yeah.
and you're in the top 5%. If you hit in of business owners, you are in, actually, of the economy. Everybody talks about the 1%. To get to 1.6%, you have to hit $1 million in sales a year, right? That is the 1.6%. Only 12% ever get to the 5% mark. So I, I wish I really spent a lot of time thinking about that, and how we need to change that for other women. So that's my mission, is my goal is to get every woman I meet that wants to hit over, be in the top 5%, to get her there.
Yeah,
Because
and obviously you know how to do it because you've been there. And I know we
I
have
am
your
there,
2
right?
others. Yep, your 2 other
Yeah.
strategies. We have more to discuss, but we have to take
Yeah,
a quick break from our sponsors, and we will
sure.
be right back.
We got soul, oh yeah, we got soul.
So we were going over your 5 strategies, and I know we went through the first 3, so we're on number 4.
We're on number 4. So number 4 is 5 strategies. Number 4 is marketing. And actually, I'm going to carry that through 4. That's going to be 4 and 5, because marketing for me has to be fun, and it has to be, and so many people shy away from it because they think, I can't afford it. It's too much money. I don't know how to do it. It seems like it's going to take a long time to get any results from it. And when you stop and think about the fact that marketing just means, how can I help more people? That's all marketing is how can you help the people? What's the problem that they have that you can solve? Right.
Right.
So
So it's a
I love
mindset shift set, or
it.
mindset shift.
It absolutely is. And when you just played commercial there for White Sands, right, with the Virgin Cruise,
Mhm.
that is marketing. How I kind of felt like you played that for me. I just said, I'm going on a luxury cruise. Virgin is the next cruise I'm going to go on, right? Because they are the epitome of a luxury cruise.
Yeah.
So Thank you for playing that, and
Oh,
I'll be talking to you.
you're welcome. Yeah,
I'll be talking to you differently about
I'm
that.
excited to go on my next one too. But
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
So it's about marketing. How can you, number one, have fun with your marketing? And if I haven't said this, I don't do anything in my business if it's not fun for me. Right? That means email marketing, that was the fourth one, but that'll be fifth now. But I'm gonna wrap it in with marketing. So your everything has to be fun. I have to write for me, I have to amuse myself. All of my marketing is about amusing me. Can I make myself laugh? Right. I just saw a little video last night. My daughter sent me of my 3-year-old grandson, and he was cracking up, and he just said, "I crack myself up." I'm like, you know what? Your grandma does that too, right? I do that. I market to crack myself up. So, how can you do that? So, and no cost, right? No
right.
cost, low
Oh yeah,
cost.
yeah.
So let's start with email marketing. So because I love, love, love email marketing, and so many entrepreneurs don't market it for two reasons. Number one, it's time consuming. They don't know what to write about. They don't know how often they should put something out there. And they find it a pain because they don't love to write, right? I am not a good writer, by the way. I write just like I speak. And so I'm not a great writer, but what I am is a great communicator, right? If you can make your audience read your newsletter as if you're having a conversation with them, they will love what you're putting out there for them. And the other second reason they don't want to send out a newsletter is they don't like to receive them because it can be salesy sometimes, and they feel that little uncomfortableness and that little like, oh, they're trying to pressure me to buy something. Get over yourself. It's not just for you, right? Either buy it or don't. The person who sent it doesn't care, right? They don't
Right.
care, but they're giving people who want the information the information. So, writing a newsletter, there's 5 pieces to writing a newsletter too. So, let me give you those really quick while we're talking about it. Number one is the subject line. Your subject line has got to be attention getting. If not, nobody's going to open it, right? So, I'm going to give you an example of that. A couple years ago, I got on somebody's list. Her name was Kim Ward. I got on her list, and Kim has heard this story a million times, by the way. So hang on tight, right? So I got on her list, but I wasn't opening her emails, and it was just like I've now got, right now I've got like 55,000 emails in my inbox, right? So I was going to subscribe, so I click on it. I bring up all of her emails, but the top email, just as I'm getting ready to click on all of them at one time, the top email says, well, slap my ass and call me Sally. And I thought,
That gets your attention.
that's an attention getting newsletter. And I, who loves marketing, wanted to know what's on the other side of that. So I opened it. And Kim was offering an Instagram account. I don't even remember how she got from slap my ass and call me Sally to that. It didn't matter. So I immediately sent Kim what I thought was a funny email that said, "Hey, Kim, now I'm on her list, so assuming she knows that I've joined her list."
Right.
And I said, "Hey, Kim, I was just getting ready to unsubscribe from your list. But I'm not, because I saw the subject line, game changer, right? Loved it.
Right.
And I also see that you're starting an Instagram class. I would like to take your Instagram class. I know it ended yesterday. Sorry, I didn't read your email sooner, but is it possible I can still get in on the class?" Okay, great. Now I don't hear from Kim for maybe a week, right? 5 days, 6 days. So I have moved on, right?
Right.
I figured I couldn't get into the class. I moved on. So apparently Kim had emailed me back, but what do? I don't read Kim's emails, right?
So
Because
probably
I
went in your
moved
spam.
on now, right? So I didn't even respond when she finally got back to me. I wasn't mad. I was in the middle of another project or something. So about 2 weeks later, I see Facebook. I'm looking at Facebook, and there's a post from Kim Ward, and I'm reading it. And she's like, "What do you do when somebody interrupts your day telling you they're going to unsubscribe from your newsletter, and then that bitch doesn't even and asks for your Instagram course, and then that bitch doesn't even take it then?" doesn't even respond. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm that bitch. Right? Holy crap, I'm that bitch. Now, I'm not mad because number one, Kim didn't know me. She didn't know that I was trying to write a funny email and compliment her in some sort of way. Apparently, it wasn't very complimentary, but I thought it was. I thought it was funny. And so no problem. I just let her be mad. She got over it eventually. So anyway, fast forward a year and a half or so, and her and I are both working with the same coach now, right? I've had
Right.
my coach. She's just now joined.
Uh-huh.
And I see her in there and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to mention it, right? I'm not going to tweak that. I'm not going to set Kim Ward off because apparently she can get pretty mad when she wants to, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't say anything, but I'm always I always go for the laugh. So I'm felt like that way in my group. So she reaches out one day and she says, Jean Kuhn, I don't know why they always call me Jean Kuhn, like it's one word. Jean Kuhn, you're so funny. She says, let's do something together. And I'm like, great, let's get on the phone. So we get on the phone and guess what? We're going to collaborate on something. By the way, I love her so much. She is a sponsor at my event coming up, the Second Act Conference in October, right? So I just adore her. But then after we get our collaboration worked out, I'm like, I think we should have a little bit of an uncomfortable conversation. I just want you to know I'm that bitch. And she's like, what? What are you talking about? And then I proceed to tell her about that, which she laughed. We both laughed. We both apologized, right? I'm like, Kim, I was trying to be funny. And you obviously you didn't take it that way, which is fine because you don't know me.
Right.
But anyway, I just adore her. And she's funny, right? She's super funny. So, sometimes too, you don't get mad and you don't listen, everybody's offended these days, right?
Yeah.
Calling me a bitch. I don't care. I'm not offended by that. So, right. That's my point, right? So, so that's one thing there. Subject line.
Mm-hmm.
Next one. A little something personal. When you're starting your email, you start it with a little I don't mean a half a page. I mean 2 or 3 sentences of something that's going on in your life where you can find a connection with somebody, right? So as a mom, I would write about my kids when I started that chocolate newsletter, right? I would write about that. Like, whose idea was it to give the teachers the summer off when you've got working mothers, right?
Right.
Like, whose idea was that? So I would always find something to mention about the fact that I had kids. When my daughter graduated college as a nurse, I put her in her cap and gown in my newsletter, my chocolate newsletter. She'd worked there since she was 12 years old. And I had another mother reach out to me from Tennessee, and I don't know how she got on my newsletter. She obviously didn't live in Illinois. And she said, thank you so much for sharing that about your daughter. She said, my daughter's in nursing school as well. She had to take the semester off to have twin baby girls, but she'll be going back next. And I just wanted you to know that. I just wanted to share that. And I'm so happy to see your daughter in her cap and gown. And it was, I will never forget her name. Her name was Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know her, right? But she reached out because we had formed a connection. Right? She felt that connection with me. You have got to be able to connect with the people when you're doing email marketing. How can you connect? There's a lot of different ways. Over kids, over work, over fine dining, over the picture of a puppy, right? All of these different ways, your animals, whatever it is, you've got to be able to find a way to connect with people. And I knew people read my stuff. As a matter of fact, it was Mother's Day at the Business Association where they were celebrating it. And I was passing something out, and one of the guys was passing out flowers for all the moms. And I walked by and I'm like, hey, can I have a carnation too? Not that I probably left it in my car, right? But I said, can I have one too? And he's like, these are just for moms. And I'm like, I have 3 kids, right? I have 3 adult kids.
Right.
And he's like, oh, all I ever see you do is post pictures of your dogs.
I'm a dog mom. That's still a mom for me.
So you get it, right?
Yeah.
You get it. Yeah. So that's that connection there. The connection I had made is that I am a dog person, right? So what do you do if you have a cat, right? What do you do if you have a cat, right? No, you get rid of the cat, you get a dog, and now I can connect with you, right? No, I'm just kidding. So you find that connection. That was 2. Number 3 is you find some way to educate them on what you're doing. How do you solve the problem they have? Right here, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to stop for just a second, because I was doing so well with my email marketing, Constant Contact. I'd seen an ad for them. I joined right away. They had beautiful templates. I sent out really beautiful templates and with my stuff. And Rocky Mountain, the franchisor, was paying attention to what I was doing,
Hmm.
right? And they asked me, they're like, "What are you doing?" Because you're like, they couldn't believe how fast I turned this business around.
Right.
And I said, "Well, right now I'm email marketing. I'm doing Constant Contact." So what did they do? They bought, remember, they took the promotion from the soldiers. Now they're taking my promotion for Constant Contact. They approached Constant Contact. They bought a subscription for every franchise owner. I'm like, I don't want one, because I knew what they would do. There would be no connect, and they wrote the emails for them.
Hmm.
Right, they were writing their emails for the whole system, kind of like Kill Ones did when they were sending their email out to their franchisees. So I'm like, I'm not interested. I don't need a subscription. And I continue to pay for it on my own. And I was able to continue to do what I did, while all of the other franchisees who did not want to write their own, which was pretty much all of them, were sending out messages like, "Buy my chocolate. We have chocolate. It's white chocolate. It's dark chocolate. It's milk chocolate. Buy chocolate. We have popcorn and caramel apples and blah, blah, blah." And literally could not stop selling
Hmm.
in there to even care about the customer. But mine was really customer focused. What was going on in town that week? When is the Christmas walk? When was the Halloween walk for the kids, right? I put all of that kind of stuff in my newsletter to keep the people who came into my store, in this cute, quaint little downtown store where people walked around. How could I keep drawing them back in? I stopped using Clipper magazine for my coupons, and I started putting coupons in my own newsletter that they could bring in. And guess what? If they didn't have their coupon, if they came in and all they had to say is, "I saw the coupon in your newsletter for blah, blah, blah," and I would give them that. Did I make them go home and get the coupon? No. Did I print them off another one? No. I made it easy to do business with me, right? So
Right.
you've got to figure out ways to, you've got to find out ways to add education or add value to, I guess that's a better word, add value. And if you know how to solve their problem, you don't have to promote yourself all the time. I did my fair share of promoting, but in an educational based way, instead of a buy my shit sort of way, right?
Right.
So the other piece was then something extra. I always put something extra in there. Whether it be, I would go to allrecipes.com and I would take a chocolate recipe, chocolate cake, chocolate alcohol, chocolate something, right? And I would I'd give allrecipes.com, but I would change one thing. Wherever it said 4 ounces of premium dark chocolate, I would say 4 ounces of Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory chocolate, right? And I gave them the credit for the recipe, but I just changed it mildly, just a little bit, right? And then the last piece is, have a call to action. What do you want them to do? Do you want them to visit the store? Do you want them to bring in your coupon? Do you want them to click on something, right? And it, what do you want? What's the next piece you want them to do? Just tell them, right? In a nice way. Click here, buy this, visit us, right? Whatever that looked like. Come in for a free sample, right? That
Right.
was usually my call to action. Come in for a free sample. So that email marketing is one of the best ways to promote your business. And if you enjoy writing and you can find and make it fun, man, the connection you will create with your people is amazing.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah. And I was going to say, if you could expand a little bit, because I know you and I were talking about it before we were on air, but that promotion that you were talking about, like the promotion for soldiers, you
oh
you
yeah.
actually you actually came up with that because a competitor had put in their newsletter out what they were thinking about doing. So maybe
Yeah,
you can share that with everybody.
I would love to, because listen, you get ideas everywhere, right? Well, there was my chocolate store, and then 2 blocks down was a Fannie Mae chocolate store, and then 2 years after I bought my store, right here, formed a perfect triangle, right? Right here was a Kilwins moved in, but Kilwins made one fatal mistake because they were gone right? They were gone after 3 years. Um, their franchise put their franchisee newsletter at the bottom of their website in that little website site box, right?
Mm-hmm.
And did not know that my husband and I would be watching them, like watching you, right? And I would drive by every night on the way home. How many people are in their store? We lost a little bit of business to them. We gained it back right away within 3 or 4 months. But what they would do is, so they came up with a promotion that was called Fudge for Soldiers. And they were going to, if you bought a half a pound of fudge from them, they were going to send a half a pound of fudge to soldiers overseas. I'm like, I can do better than that, right? I can do better than that. So I told my husband, I'm like, before the end of the evening, I had created I'm pretty decent pretend graphic designer, right? I'd said, here's what I want. I want an American flag. And in the middle of it, I wanted to say, Fudge for Soldiers, buy 1 pound of fudge. We'll donate a pound of fudge to soldiers overseas. One of the best promotions we've ever run. And one of the ones that Rocky also took that idea from me.
Uh-huh.
I didn't mention that I stole it from Kilwins. They took that idea from me and implemented that again system wide, right? So now there's a reason here. Most people buy a franchise and it's doing well, right? They're not really adding that much money to the bottom line. But when you buy a bankrupt franchise and you can turn it around real fast, people pay attention.
Yeah.
Right. So we started doing that. We probably shipped about 3 tons, that's 6,000 pounds of fudge over the amount of time while I had the rest of the time I had that store. So that, and every year it would go to soldiers overseas. And we did that. We worked in collaboration with Operation Support Our Troops out of Illinois. They would send holiday stockings for soldiers overseas, and a pound of fudge would be inside each of those stockings. So, and it was so great to see because they would share that amongst, it wasn't one person would get a pound of fudge, but they're sharing that amount amongst, right?
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you for your service.
Yeah. Thank
Um,
you.
they were sharing it with each other, right? And here's the thing, I got back the most amazing things. One I don't know what unit flew 2 American flags over Afghanistan, and you could see them flying outside of a Chinook helicopter,
Mhm.
right? And then sent me those flags for my stores. I'm like,
Wow.
when I sold my stores, I did not give them those flags. I kept those flags. One woman, I was telling you the story. One woman was having kind of a hard time, and she was sitting on her bed and she was having a little bit of fudge. And she sent me an email because my email was on every fudge, JK Kuhn at AOL.com back in the day, right?
Right.
That's not my email anymore. So, but it had my email on there, and she sent just the most beautiful, heartwarming email that made me cry. She said, I'm sitting here, I'm homesick for Christmas, I'm in my pajamas, I'm enjoying this little taste of home. My mom always used to make fudge at Christmas, and this year I'm just missing them. And it just really touched my heart and then it made me rethink about, what was I doing? Right. I
Right.
did this to be better than Kilwins, to steal something from them. And then I kind of felt like God's like, no, you did this you did this for out of ego, but let me just lower your ego just a little bit. Right.
Right.
Let me bring you back down to earth. And it was just, I got one unit made us a video, like a dancing video. And it was just like, I did it. Then I became like, who will send me back? Not that I wanted what, but who would send me back something to say thank you. And I meant like a video, an email, right? I never expected the flags, and what a true gift that really was. Cause I love this country. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So how
And
can you do?
it's really beautiful when you can do that and have those rewarding moments come back. Can you
Always.
share a pivotal moment that solidified your decision to become a business strategist and why you do what you do?
Yeah, it was in 2006. I can remember it because our franchise only held a meeting for all the franchisees once every 2 years. So if you, let's just say you joined in 2000 and the next in July and the last one was in May of 2000, you have to wait till 2002 for your first meeting. By that time, franchises were struggling and they would be so pissed off with not getting the support they need from from their franchise, that they would just be done with their store and just close up something they just invested $500,000 in. Right.
Wow.
So for me, I could see these in our inner group news. It was like a portal. And I really saw my franchisee people struggling, my fellow franchisees struggling. And I decided this is what I love to do. I love to put on events. I've been putting on events for years. So I created a 2-day conference for all of my fellow franchisees to come to in Chicago. And about 50 people came to that very first meeting. But you want to know what I learned from that?
What
I
happened?
learned that the successful people come. The successful people go to conferences and meetings to become even better. They realize if you walk away with just one idea that could be business changing, it's always the successful people that come. The guys that I really wanted to help, there was a guy out of Laguna Beach. His father had invested in his franchise with his retirement account. The man's store was struggling. He'd fight the company, the franchise told him to fire all of your employees and you work that store. Well, working that store in a mall meant that you worked from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. 7 days a week, right? He lost his home. He lost his family. He lost his car. But most importantly, he lost his father's retirement account.
Oh, wow.
But he couldn't see the value in getting somebody to come and work at that store and invest a little bit of money and come hang out with really successful franchise owners
Mhm.
who were turning things around fast. And I guess that has been my biggest aha. It's the successful people that will always invest in themselves. It's the successful people who will go to a conference to see what they can learn, right?
Right.
That piece, I'm glad you asked. I don't ever hardly tell that story. So I'm glad that you asked
Oh, and
because
that's
that's
huge. And that's as so many business people do that. I mean, we go into business for ourselves to have our own time. But on the other hand, you wind up working so much that now your family has taken a back seat. So everything you were trying to work for, you've actually hurt it.
right.
And some do lose their families over it.
And there's a great book that changed my life, and it's called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And in that book, I read it. I didn't even finish the book. I got what I needed out of it,
Mhm.
and it changed my life, and I moved on. In that book, someplace it says, if your business, if your business requires you to work in it, you don't have a business, you have a job.
Yep.
And it's the worst job in the world because you're working for a lunatic, right?
Yep.
So I immediately went out and I found somebody to replace me in that store. So I could start even building that store up to bigger, right? And then that's when I bought a second store. Then we turned that one around within 12 months as well. So that was a big aha for me, right? That you have to replace yourself in order to grow. Sometimes you have to get to a certain level and then you replace you so you can start really working on the business instead of in the business.
Yeah. And I 100% agree. If you're not happy or passionate about what you're doing, it is a job and it takes its toll. And I
Yes.
know we're getting down to our last few minutes here, but
Oh, how much time do we have?
yep. So we got about 6 minutes. Um,
So,
you
ma'am,
you
that's this.
you did a lot of work with franchises, but you work a lot with solopreneurs and others. So tell us about
Yeah.
your conference that you come up, your clients that you work with now.
Well, my ideal client is that woman business owner over 40 who's in her second act. Look, if you don't want to be working at 80, if you take your age and you double it, if you don't want to be working at that age, you're in your second act. I reinvented myself at the age of 53. I went into my second act at 53 and I got rid of my stores. It's not really what I wanted to do anymore. I'd done it. I got out of it what I set out to do, right? I sold one store and closed the other one. And I knew that what I wanted to do was, I knew since I was 26, I was supposed to help small business owners make more money. So I knew that. So I got back to that piece there. And my ideal client's that businesswoman over 40 in her second act. So I've created everything about her in the second act conference. I know what she wants. It's the same thing I wanted at 53. I wanted to hit $100,000 because I never had. I wanted to earn more money. I wanted more clients. I wanted more fun. I wanted more joy. I wanted more I wanted grandkids. I had nothing to do with that, right? But
Right.
I still wanted grandkids, right? I made a list of all of the things I wanted, and I knew what it was going to take to start over and create what I wanted. And I had to really stop for a couple of weeks and think about, did I really want to put forth that effort to do this? And I thought the answer was yes, because I had a pretty sweet life at that point, but I never hit the level of income I wanted. And I still, honestly, multiple six figures here, and I still have not hit the level of revenue I want to bring in. And I don't even know what that is, right? I just know I haven't hit it, right? I
Right.
know I haven't hit it. So my goal is to help that woman who wants more time, more freedom, more money, more clients, whatever that is she wants. So I do it. The event is called the Second Act Conference. The website is secondactevent.com, right? And that conference is for her, how she can be successful in business. So I take all of my teachings, everything I have learned over the last 40 years as an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
and I pour that into her at that conference.
Nice. And it's coming up soon,
Oh,
October 2nd through the 4th, I believe, but it's
yeah.
also a conference you do every year. So
Yes.
even if they miss this one, they'll wanna look you up for the next one.
Well, let's not say that because listen, this is like we live in a time of pandemics are coming
Oh,
and going, right? And I'm going to be 65 in a couple of weeks. I don't know that I'll have another week, let alone another year. Nobody does, right?
right.
And why would somebody want to wait? I waited 1 year before I signed up with my coach, and it cost me over $150,000, right? Don't wait. And it's live in person. It is not virtual.
Oh, no,
Because
absolutely. I know if you're seeing this in time, definitely go. I meant for our viewers that may see this after the conference has
yeah,
taken,
yeah,
not to worry because there will be another one, but yeah, if you have the opportunity, absolutely, don't wait.
yeah. And
When you wait, that's a killer.
yeah. Can I give something away for free?
Absolutely. Yes.
So 5marketingideas.com. 5marketingideas.com. It's some of the other stories that I haven't told about how I use those five same strategies. Man, we didn't even get to marketing, and that's my favorite one. Um, some stories there are how I turned around those two bankrupt businesses, and gives you a lot more information on what you can do for yourself to increase your revenue fast.
Yeah. Well, you are a wealth of knowledge, and yes, I know you're the queen of marketing, I would say too, because you've done some amazing things, and you're not done yet. I know that.
I'm
You're
not.
just getting started.
Oh my gosh, yeah, whole story about that, but that's for another day.
That is for another day.
Yeah.
So, any last words that you want to share with people before we go today?
Yeah, reach out to Laura Cross in order to find that Virgin Voyage cruise, right? That she and I will be taking. And how much fun would that be to do a cruise with the whole group, Laura? I'm just saying. Reach
Oh,
out to Laura. Virgin is they won all the awards in cruising in 2024. So yeah, reach out to Laura for that cruise. That's what I want to say. I want to say thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for letting me be here, and you'll be hearing from me when I go to book my Virgin voyage. Ah,
it's a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you at the conference and continue to learn and grow. Because I mean, like you said, we have a lot more we could cover, but we are out of time.
right.
So I want to thank you so much for sharing that with everybody today.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, and everybody have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time.